We're live. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. My name is Leonard Brackett. Tonight program is going to be hosted by one of our senior panelists, Mr. Gregory Brackett, chairman for tonight. Maybe somewhere in the background queuing up something because he's also one of our senior engineer in the program, besides being a panelist. And a lot of the things that you see played off and on as part of our program, he's the one responsible for enhancing our ability to perform at that level. So we just want to give him kudos and thanks for what he brings to the table, in addition to being a chairman as well as a panelist on other shows. We also have Mr. Roody, our next senior panelist as well, who is the chairman for the Wednesday night program, available with us tonight. And we are going to launch right now because, in the interest of time, we don't want to be too late on our shows. And hopefully, by the time we do the preliminaries, which is to offer a word of prayer, which I'll do in a couple of minutes, well, not a couple of minutes, couple of seconds probably, I'm not close to it. And after that, then I'll turn over to Mr. Wade for the reading of scripture verse. And hopefully by then the chairman will be in, otherwise we'll just banter around on something until he shows up. We have quite a bit of issues that we could probably touch on. I'll just proceed then by asking for you to indulge me in bowing my head to say a short prayer. Divine, loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, expressing our gratitude and thanks to you for having first of all given us the privilege of life, and secondly the opportunity to still be alive here today among our family members, friends and loved ones, and our people of Belize, at home and abroad, and the rest of humanity. Please continue to bless us, guide us, protect us, strengthen us, give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Help us that we may present a program that is worthy of the people's time and effort, and that at the end of the process, some positive benefit would have been had by those who listen to our program, either tonight live and or by others who listen to the program at their own convenience thereafter. We pray that God will continue to bless our family members, the nurse them and everyone by name and number. Please bless our friends. Please bless all those who listen to our program. Bless all the Belizeans at home and abroad. Please bless the rest of humanity, especially the United States, its people and leadership. And please bless the rest of humanity, those people who are having floods, hurricane, all sorts of disasters. Be merciful and all loving Father. For the asking mercy in Jesus' name. Amen. You back to you, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's always a pleasure to sit in your company and likewise in the
Same here, sir.
company of Gregory.
It's my
And
privilege.
you rightfully says there, Leonard, that he should show up shortly and he's the chairman for tonight. And he's in the background, probably in the background, queuing up some stuff for his program. But all said, the show must go on. And as always, as always, we start with a prayer and then a reading. Are you hearing me, Leonard? No, I'm not hearing you. I think your mic went
Yeah,
out.
I probably
Okay.
pulled it out just now.
Okay. Yes.
Let me
Yes.
double check it.
So as always, it's a
Can you hear me now,
pleasure.
Mr. Red?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. It
I
was
hear
pulled
you,
out a little
sir.
bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, we always show and tell, and that's what the chairman for tonight is probably doing in the background. And to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad, tonight's show, we hope that you enjoy it. And welcome to our 195th edition of Belizean Affairs on this blessed Monday, 16th September, and we are in the festive season, festive month. So enjoy responsively. And on that note, we always start with a prayer, and Leonard had, you know, lead us in a prayer, and I'll uh, go to Exodus chapter 21 to 10. Says, and God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other God before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, or for I, the Lord your God, I am a jealous God,
Amen.
visiting the iniquity of the father on the children to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to those thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain.
Amen.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God.
Amen.
On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock, or the adjourners who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the seas, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy.
Holy.
That's my reading from Exodus chapter 21 to 10.
I
Leonard?
see our chairman is already in the background.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Wade, maybe instead of us going to any of the other subjects, since he's already there,
Mr. Chairman,
could you
yeah.
just.
Good
Oh, he's
night.
here already.
Back to you there,
Good night.
Mr. Chairman. Good night. It's a
Good
pleasure.
night, good night to you, gentlemen. As
Good
you
night,
know, it's
Gray.
always a pleasure to
Yes, sir.
sit down and have these conversations with you. I would also like to say good night to the people at home and abroad. And thank you for tuning in to this, the 196th edition of Belizean Affair. Gentlemen, tonight I want to go back to a house meeting because I want to really show the people at home and abroad the mentality of the present government when it comes to dealing with the people in this country. You always hear them use the excuse uh, for public use or for the Belizean people, but there never seems to be anything trickling down for the Belizean people. Tonight, I want to show the people at home and abroad, as I said, from a past house meeting, how they went to the house for $5 million for housing to help the needy people who needed a home, like the mother who has kids and is fighting to make ends meet. But I want you to hear also what a member from the present government had to say. And you know, it only goes to show, as I said, what the present government thinks about the Belizean people. Let's go to the tape.
I believe, and I am so happy that the member from Queen Square believes that we have not, and I don't want to say this, I want to say it, but I never want to say it, but I have to say it. Yeah, hurt my heart to say it. Yeah, hurt my heart. But I agree with him, my family. So, the only thing positive he said yesterday that you want a little more budget for the housing, right, my brother? So, I tell you because I have to know because I want. But I agree with you. We should lobby the Ministry of Finance that we receive more funds to be able to help the people get shelter over their heads. If we don't do that, Madam Speaker, the haves will be happy that they do not believe that the have-nots should get. Right or wrong? They lobby, make them go to the bank, go borrow the money. But they don't say it when I'm around. Because when I'm around, I'm telling them, but how they go in a bank, go get the money? They not got no job, they're not single mothers, they struggle, they not got opportunity in life, they're single fathers, some of them are disabled. You are setting them up to fail. So, you know, they come with a briefcase and say, oh, you can go to the bank. Yeah, you could go to the bank. But the people that we help cannot go to the bank. And so it is our job, and many members here believe in it. I am the only one that voices it often. We need more budget for the housing.
Gentlemen, you heard the tape, and you heard what was the cap for that. And I'm saying this because just recently in the acquiring of a piece of land, the government paid 6.9 million, which is 1.9 million above what was
Threshold. Above the
what was
threshold, sir.
passed in the House to help with homes for people. Mr. Wade, I go to you first.
So sad, Mr. Chairman, um, to listen to these guys. You know, how they banter words, and like they realize their shortcomings, and you hear him put it so nicely that, oh, the single mothers have no jobs, and the disabled, and you know so I say this: you listen to that guy. Well, it's for me, it's all about politics and electioneering, right? Because nothing in what he said is reality. The only thing, the only thing that is reality is that the people he mentioned would never go and get a loan, never get a loan to build a house. But you hear them when they first got into, oh, so many thousands of homes they were going to build and take people out of poverty and all the good things. And all you have to do is let us know, and we will come and we'll build homes, all over this country. I asked through this medium, that man Julius Espat, how many homes had his government bill, and the ones that they built, who gets it, who gets it, and how much money of the taxpayers' money went through his hands in the name of building homes for the poor people, like he bantered. It's always, they're always doing things for the poor people. You know, past and present government, always, all the things they do is for the poor people. But yet, we have a country that is stagnated. We have a country in poverty, the highest in the world, right? I mean, sorry, the highest in Central America, poverty. But yet, the government have a lot of money. And if you listen, those like you say who listen to the House meeting, Mr. Chairman, and you listen to that man, the man banter on the buying of the land, the land minister, and he justified because they all has to be on the same link, you know. They one cannot fall off and say something that he not supposed to say, right? So here, and he mentioned, Mr. Chairman, Belize no broke for him government no broke because of the bolido, the amount of money made from the bolido, right? So on the other side, he's saying, you know, you are bantering about a broke government and always decry broke. That's what he's trying to say, right? So justifying where that money came from to buy that land, right? So I'm not going to get into that, Mr. Chairman, but all I'm saying is that they say all the things that they think people want to hear. And the way they rhyme it and put it, it's all nice all the way to the bank. Mr. Man, all I know there, that crap is played out to some that are not fanatics. We can chant bantering with words, and we can chant how to try to sell it. Only fanatics no catch on to I'll not elaborate much, Mr. Chairman, because I know you want to go more into that House meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade, Mr. Brackett.
I'd just like to let what Mr. Wade said just now stand in my representation as well. So I will not belabor any more points. Other maybe at some point later on as we continue the program, I might bring back the point again just for emphasis. But I'd like for what he has just said to sink in. And I hope people are paying attention. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
Yes, sir.
I will go to the next step because I want the Belizean people at home and abroad to adhere as to how the government makes its move and who all is involved when they do these behind the doors deal.
Mr. Chairman, since you're about to change then, can I just maybe make a small comment right here then? Even though I
Yes, you can,
previously
sir.
said, defer, because I don't want it to get lost in the changes that might be coming, no? Specifically, our constitution requires that the government implement policies of state. That is to say, under the authority of governance, those whom we entrust with our governance power have the authority, both in the legislature as well as within cabinet, to bring forward policies of state that assist us to govern the country on behalf of the well-being and welfare of the people and country. like one of our colleagues says, Miss Sharon Pitts, not only people have rights, country and state have rights. And therefore, as per our constitution, and specifically as the preamble indicates, the government is mandated, not asked. They're not, you know, by them taking up the mantle of governance, they're taking up the mandate that goes along with that mantle to follow policies of state that aggregate to the well-being of the country and its people. There's a law under the financing and I forget what they call it, but I can't bring the name right now. That tells the government
The finance and audit.
finance and audit it up. Thank you very much, sir, for reminding me. That tells the government that it has to come to Parliament in order to take money out of our consolidated funds to meet any obligations that they had from before, that they are now having, or are planning to have. They have to come to Congress with anything that is, I think, above $5 million. And they have gotten used to that, coming to Congress and fulfilling those obligations to the point where now they just go ahead and pretend that they don't have those rules to abide by. In one instance, the government gave hundreds of millions of dollars to Mr. Ascoff after they came to the House to tell us, oh, well, this is the deal that they struck and this is how it's going to work out. Sometimes they don't even tell us what deal. They go behind the scene and make these deals, as in the case of this $6.9 million, and they pay out the money without any proper authority. And then they tell us, okay, well, the deal is done and it's already taken care of, so they can't go back and get the money back. Which is why the rules are put in place, to stop that kind of shenanigans from happening. I'll go one step further and I'll say, even though they might claim under their nefarious and evil actions that they have already paid for the thing, therefore they can't take the money back. Okay, you pay for it, it now belongs to the government. UB has more lands to offer. They are promising to give you better lands than what you have acquired. Turn around and use that land that you acquired for some other public purposes, as you say you're acquiring it for. Okay? But go ahead and build the damn facilities where you first indicated and got the permission to go ahead and build it on UB campus, wherever location they can provide you. That was the deal. You went ahead and spent free money without the consent or acquiescence or the laws. All right, it's a done deal. I know it's not, but let's imagine that it's a done deal, and let's give you the benefit of the doubt that you like for it to be a done deal. No, let's not haggle anymore about it. It is now government property, but not for that hospital to be put at that shithole place. Okay? It is untenable and unbecoming of anyone that will have had enough sense to have made that decision. Everybody along the way got paid and or got subordinated to sing the same tune to justify putting that hospital there instead of where it was supposed to be put, to the benefit of the university and the people of Belize at large. You bought it? It's ours. But we don't want our hospital there. We want it where we want it. It is our prerogative. It is our government affairs that you're dealing with, not your own personal issues. So you can't be spending for money and hire and pull we and get mad at we when we tell you we don't want you to do if you continue trying to do. Because that's not what you had proposed to do. You hoodwink the people, you bamboozle the people, but you still have the obligation to do the people's business the way the people want it. We don't want a shithole for our hospital. So go to UB, take up UB's challenge, go ahead and accept the land and use that land to do the UB campus right and the Belizean people right. Find some other use for that shithole that you acquired. As a matter of fact, the laws of the country requires or demands that you can acquire that property under eminent domain for less than you paid for it. You try to talk craziness, but you want to acquire somebody's private land in the case of Mr. Feinstein. If you go give another private investor at public expense and with public power, stop playing crazy. You know what's right. We are not telling you anything that is news, but that you were not aware of. All we are telling you, get about to do our business the way we want it done. Stop shaft we, the people of Belize. You want to get your kickback from the man? Go ahead. Acquire the thing under eminent domain, but acquire it so it belongs to us like BTL belongs to us. Eminent domain for public purpose benefit. You cannot use the law of eminent domain to steal on private person's property with governance power and for we money and turn around and say, well, demand and pay for whatever damage. We are not there. I was about to say something out the way. I need to hold off a little bit in terms of what I was about to say. Okay, I'll come back to it another time, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to disgrace this show or your chairmanship.
Thank you.
Mr. Wade or anybody else listening to our show. But these
Thank you,
jackals and
Mr.
hyenas
Brackett.
and vultures need to stop power play with we property and for we governance power and deal with us rightly. And I'll leave it at that for right now.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. But let me go on to say this, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad. Here in Belizean, we have advocates, and we have been advocating for quite some time, and we have seen results. We have advocated for them to take back the port, and it happened. We talk about the institutional state of emergency. There was lacking tribunal. We got to put the tribunal together. So,
You're lucky we're
anyone
not
who follows,
complaining to the international court on their nefariousness, but that's to come yet because we already promised them that's the next step. Sorry, Mr.
anyone,
Chairman.
thanks. Anyone who is following our show, if they want to go back and see how far back we have been advocating and the outcome that is happening, will know that here in Belizean affair, we show and tell, but we speak truth. Let me
Amen to
go
that.
to
We're not
a
bite with
tape.
tongue or suck with teeth.
Let
No
me go
finger.
to a tape from Jules Brackett because I need to break this down when he's finished.
So let's move on.
The hospital land
The
deal, I'm
hospital
done
land
with
deal.
it.
All
This
right.
is, I'm saying sayonara
Okay.
to the hospital land deal. The Prime Minister has signed off on it. I'm sure the Minister of Education has signed off on it as well. UB board made its last desperate move to say, "Uno could come build me in the parking lot. Uno could come build on the security booth up front. Just please come back." Right? It's like when a couple breaks up and
They try plead
one
to
of the
come
partner
home.
come back. You could call live in my bedroom, whatever. My point is that until we understand the mystery, the unfathomable mystery of campaign financing in this country, we will never be able to say that it was a clean or a transaction that was not a friendly party. I verily believe, based on good information, that Kenny Zeng is a political campaign contributor to the PUP, and not a minor one. I'm sure he was with the UDP as well. Many business people are. That is his right. However, because we live in a society of secrets, we will never know or be able to make a guess at what is the correlation between your campaign contribution and this $6.9 million transaction. I also, and I believe the things do have a correlation. I believe he's a friend, as the Prime Minister himself has conceded. He may indeed be a friend of the Trade and Investment Ambassador, the one that works for free. I am just saying that that alone is an alarm.
Yeah.
The second alarm is that there is no report. No one can yet produce a report because it does not exist. And they spoke about a report that was prepared. There was no report. There was a cabinet paper. So the fact that you have to tell a lie to say there was a report, it's not true. There's no report. There's just a cabinet paper. Indicates already that you're trying to do a shuffle game. The third indicator is that it was not taken, any transaction over $5 million has to be put to open tender. It was not put to open tender. That is a violation, I believe, of the Finance and Audit Reform Act. The Prime Minister told us the Attorney General said it's okay. Of course he said it's okay. The Attorney General is an employee of the government. He's a part of the cabinet. He supports all collective decisions of the cabinet. Of course, that's what his legal opinion says. And you know what? So the deal, I maintain that it stinks, and that there is.
It really does.
But we can feel how we wish. It is written.
It's gonna stay there.
It's done.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if the NTUCB takes it to court. They're not moving at lightning speed to do that, but we'll have to see if they can take it to court for misfeasance. But I think that the government's decision is.
Mr. Chairman, can I jump on that quickly?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. In the first instance, Jules is 100% correct in his observations, analysis, and conclusions. But I'll go one step further, and I think I had brought this up before on one of our previous shows, so it's a matter of record. I read it. But just for clarification and to contextualize what we're now saying in tonight's program, I'll repeat it again. This stupid game that the Prime Minister's office is playing with we, Treasury, and political financing gigs stinks to low hell. This matter did not come out of no studies, as Mr. Jules rightfully pointed out, but I can tell you what the Prime Minister will not tell you. And I can also tell you how I get to know, because that might be a good question that people will want to know. How I know where I know. And the Prime Minister should know that I know where I know, because I've always tell him what I'm going on with in a cabinet and how the hell I'm supposed to know in the first place. I'm not a member of cabinet and I'm not sitting there with them. But I keep telling them every discussion cabinet has in that cabinet appointed location is being monitored and recorded by agents, foreign agents. They don't have to come to the Prime Minister and ask the Prime Minister what and discuss. It's already on their record. And these guys don't believe that is possible. They're so stupid and ignorant, and ignoramus at that, to want to, when I try telling certain things, look at me and pretend that they should be mad at me for telling them what they need to know. Bunch of idiots. But I'll go where I was intending to go initially when I asked the question, when I asked the chairman for the permission to say what I'm about to say. This hospital business was concocted in the Prime Minister's office, not initially by him, but people who are subordinate to him. I could call names as well. This may not necessarily be the point or the time or the occasion or the platform in which those names need to be made public. But I have the records and information with which to prevail if they want to go to court. In fact, they don't have to go to court. If they try to get a henchman to try to do me any harm, woe unto them and their family as well. Because what we have in stage for them that they're not aware of, may let them have the impression that they are controlling the ball, which they don't. But let me leave that there alone and get back to the point. The point is, this matter was concocted in the Prime Minister's office. I wonder if I should just go ahead and call the damn names and make it clear and straight to the heart. But as I indicated earlier, maybe it's not the right time or the right place. Let me reserve a little bit of caution and a little bit of strategic efforts. Because what I want the Prime Minister to do is to realize that he was had. At the time he got around to weighing in on this matter. The matter was already being put together and brought to him, as a baby, that he adopted and gave his acquiescence in cabinet to go ahead and take the matter to the House of Representatives for his supermajority to vote on it, and for them to justify saying, okay, it's a done deal, they already bought this up. Given all of that, I can say, we bought it, we won it. Just like how we get back report and we now won it. We can do what we want with it. We can go ahead and build a hospital there. But I don't think anybody in their own common sense would do that to us Belizean to proceed with that bogus plan. Keep the piece of land. We don't pay for it, like you said. You know how we could reverse it if we actually fight hard enough. Because it was a dastardly deed, unconstitutional act on behalf of those who are holding our governance power, in capture. And they have the impression that their ability to make laws and to run the country, they can do it just about any kind of which way, and it should be well done, forgetting that they're supposed to work within the bounds of the Constitution. And even the Constitution says they are not supposed to be doing any kind of hanky-panky. But let's say we have the land. We still have other lands. We don't have to go put a hospital as shit for, like I said before. Whether UB accept what UB offer you, let them be the one to control the facility as was intended originally. Instead, I want to try hard and pull the process to make the thing become one private government land now, the government to buy, and one private government institution that the government will turn around and sell to some foreign entity. When IMF go and start pressure us to dispense with our national asset so that they can give us loans. Mr. Prime Minister, if you are not, as the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, aware of those realities, I've just said it to you, you are now aware of it, long before it becomes a reality. Sir, act in the right way towards the Belizean people. Build that hospital at UB. If then people could challenge you and force you to take back the money, you could take back the money and give the man a fair value instead of an inflated value and the eminent domain, and let the system work the way it is intended to work on behalf of the people and country of Belize, and not you, your cronies, or your party. Because your party never should come before the country. First note. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
You're welcome.
Let me say this to the people at home and abroad. I have advocated for campaign financing reform and this platform for many moons. I keep speaking about campaign finance reform, but I want to go a little further than that. I want the people to look back at how many times the Prime Minister has used the Attorney General office to get what he wants done.
Bogus.
Let's go back and look at the marijuana referendum. Let's go back and look at Oceana referendum. And I want to put this out there in specific. They also broke the law and made an unconstitutional move when they claimed that the PCC Act also have a referendum act. There is only one constitution in Belize and one referendum act, because the Attorney General is a learned man, and we have learned people in the House who knows how laws are being passed, how they go through their reading before they are sent to by the governor then. Now I want to also stipulate that it is not a done deal, even though they take for that land. And I will tell you why. If the MPs UCB takes them to court, they will end up as Mr. Barrow when he went and constitutionally changed the constitution to match Guatemala, and he was taken to court and he had to have a referendum. Judicial review will stop the process of the acquiring of this piece of land, even though they paid for it. And I will stipulate why. I will stipulate why. Many people had forgot what happened with the port of Belize and the government of Belize. Well, let me take it back to what happened. The government of Belize took some money without going to the house and they issue it out to the stevedores. And you know what happened? PBL jumped on it and filed a suit in court. And you know what happened? The government had to backpedal and he paid off all those suits. If anyone can remember, he knew that the Ashcroft regime had the money to fight him, and he would lose because the Constitution blocked any government from taking money over $5 million to pay for anything without they go to the house to get it. But I don't want the people at home to think this is just coming from me and I am speaking phony baloney. Because as we said, fair and Belizean affair, we show and
Show and
tell.
tell.
So I hope the people from the union will hear this show. Let's hear the tape.
On Friday, there was a hearing in which all parties to this matter were represented by legal counsel. At that hearing, the matter was adjourned until today, and so all parties, including the CWU, were aware that our clients, PBL and Mr. Vasquez, would have been amending their injunction application to now direct it at the CWU as a result of the fact that the government had gone ahead to distribute those funds to the CWU. Of course, with that knowledge, it appears, or at least certain representations were made as to the distribution of those funds. That is where senior counsel Mr. Smith was coming from in terms of it being a disrespect, an affront to justice, because CWU knew that an injunction application was pending that sought to enjoin the CWU from distributing those funds. That notwithstanding, it appears, and we say appears because there isn't any evidence yet filed before the court to properly put that as a live issue before the court. So what the injunction order does is that it enjoins, it stops them from any further distribution of those sums. We think it's crucial, if justice is to be done in this case, that the distribution be enjoined, because we say it is our fundamental position in this case that those monies were paid without the requisite parliamentary approval as required by the Constitution, which is the highest law of the land.
So, gentlemen, you heard it. The case, I believe, never did went through because the government was afraid of the suit, knowing they would lose. So they acquired the port back, and you heard it from the Prime Minister's mouth. We paid all debts, including the last suit. Mr. Wade, as I said, I go to you now. It is not a done deal because Section 20 of our Constitution
He's alive.
can put a stop to that, as it did to the past Prime Minister when he had to go and have a referendum. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, yet another example of the rogue government, another example of what they continue to do with our constitution, right? They 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 do not adhere to the constitution. You know, they are the one of the gross violators of our
Mr. Wade,
constitution.
Mr. Wade, if I may, let me say this so you can also elaborate on it. The reason why the government is claiming a done deal, as you heard Mr. Vasquez said, is because he knows the union does not have the money, like Port of
To
Belize,
sustain.
to fight them in litigation. That is why he's calling it a done deal. But I hope and pray that they will proceed with their litigation because it will be null and void, inconsistent with our constitution. Go ahead, sir.
So right on that, I mean, it's all truth. But on what you said there, Mr. Chairman, these guys, they don't give a hoot about the Constitution, the ruling of the courts. They, others put to them that they should cease and desist doing things, but they do not adhere to the orders from the court. And you said it right. They know that they'll use the taxpayers' money to fight the taxpayers, and who is gonna fight along with them? The unions, like you says, and the private individuals do not have the money to fight them for their wrongs and their shortcomings and their continuous criminal activities, bastardization of our constitution, right? The total corrupted system. Who will fight them toe to toe in the courts? So they continue to do that. That's why they end up at the end of the day paying these huge sums of money. That's why you see at some point they haul in Ashcraft and they settle with Ashcraft, right? That's why
At our expense.
at our expense. Does Brisenia give a hoot?
Nope.
The money is not coming from his gas station. The money is not coming from his cane fields. The money is not coming from
Smart.
Smart. Look what these people continue to do to us. They do away with our water. They do away with our light. They put it in private. They sold it out and they get what they want and the deals they made. Look what they did to BTL the other day. Look what they did to the poor black stevedores when the court awarded and told Mr. Ashcroft that you have to pay the stevedores so much millions. What Briseño did, he put that aside, talk to Ashcroft, you know, worry man, make we work out something. I went bring down the hammer upon them poor black workers because they can't fight me and they need the money. So then they tell you, Mr. Ashcroft, you have to pay 4 point something million. No, you watch Warren do. And what did he do? Came with a measly 1 point something million dollars for the stevedores, right? And what the stevedores did accepted it because they need the money and then things are hard in this country. So, now, who forget these things, man? Who forget it? Right? You hear what Jules says? We have been talking about this. We on this platform. Months ago, we talked about the behavior and their activities. Right? So kudos to Jules. We see it the same way. Right? And I just would like, Mr. Chairman, Leonard, I would like for the people in this country who disseminate information, namely Love FM, namely Channel 5, namely, in fact, the media houses in this country, beat these acts and these crimes that past and present government had committed, beat it publicly like Jules beats it. But who does that? And why do they not do it? That's the million-dollar question. Why they do not bring these things to light? The same way they bring other things to big up a minister, to big up a political party, because they all cut both ways, right? For whatever reason, which if they fail to do the right thing in terms of disseminating information, they should get out the business. Right? Don't be getting the little grants and getting the little funds under false pretense, just like some or most of the government ministers and the opposition.
Mr. Wade, I would like to add to your description just now.
Go ahead, Leonard.
Yes, sir. The fact that these guys in the media environment are looking out for their own well-being, not the well-being of the country or the well-being of the politicians, either red or blue or whatever. They're looking out for their own well-being. That is to say, they are operating a business, and if they get shortchanged in their commercials and whatever else not, then their business suffer. So they are more likely to go along with the rascals who are committing crimes against us and bamboozle the people in order for them to get paid, which is unfortunate.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
So, I'll close off by this, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, is that Leonard and Mr. Chairman, you know, I just don't see for the hell of it why our people are not revolting and coming out on these ills, man, plainly, blatantly, like call the taxpayers and slap them in their face, right? And repetitiously, right? Well, Mr. Chairman, you hear what Johnny Briseño says in the House, right? In terms of the opposition, right? And very sarcastically, right? So if they don't get it, I don't know what will happen, but I could see something grave is coming based on the action of Johnny Briseño and his super majority who is there to stop him. Okay? So I hope that when it happens, guys, We could say, right, Leonard and Greg, we told you so.
As we always do.
Back to you, Mr. Chairman. Uh,
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Again, people at home and abroad,
Great
as I
submission,
said
Mr. Wade.
before, everything that the government does, he uses the Belizean people. And he uses that phrase in denial. It's a proven fact. But as I said, we show and tell. Let me go to another clip that will prove what I am saying.
Through this agreement, we are embarking on a journey towards sustainable development, poverty reduction, and an inclusive growth for all Belizeans. Over the past 2 years, our teams have engaged in rigorous research and development to determine the initiatives that would have the highest impact for our country and our citizens. We have conducted feasibility studies and engaged extensively with stakeholders from both the public and private sector to ensure that our approach is not only comprehensive, but also broad. After in-depth examinations, we determined that education and energy would be the two sectors of focus under this compact. These two areas are critical to the development of our country, encompassing
People at home and abroad, I want to go no further. As I said, to hear this from the Prime Minister, who is in denial, the terminology and the words he speaks that some Belizeans cannot understand. But when you talk about education and you are not involved only on paper and in hot air that is coming from your mouth, people at home and abroad, listen to this and be my guest as to what is happening.
Students of More Tomorrow are a week and a half into classes, but have yet to see any teachers. That's because all 40 students of this multi-grade school are being taught by the principal. According to Dominina Pop, the week before school started, she had a full staff, but they abandoned the ship just before the first day.
In the beginning of the school year, I had a full staff. They were here with me. We met, we had meetings, and we prepared. But unfortunately, at the end of the week, just before school reopens, they all give up on me because of the distance. Where the village is located, the road is very bad, and traveling for them is very hard. Especially, I have one who was going to school, who's still trying to achieve her bachelor's degree, so it was very difficult for her. And the other one, she lives in Georgeville, and she found it very hard to be traveling here every day and with no transportation.
I don't need to go no further, gentlemen and people at home and abroad. The condition. The government of Belize is getting e-buses for the city for people to traverse in. But there's no transportation for these schools. There is no teachers. But yet you are so eloquent in your speech about this grant that you will put into
lies on top of lies on top of lies.
I don't even want to say the word education and into solar panels. Now imagine, so that the people of Belize will pay less electricity.
That's all.
Just imagine they go around telling the world these things and forget about the selling times in their closet. I go to you, Mr. Brackett.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That solar panel gig that they keep talking about, they're raising money right, left, and center. Public monies at that. And private industry is going to end up with that part of our infrastructure to provide us electricity at the cost that private companies demand. Don't say I didn't tell you. Look in the near future when we arrive there. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Clear explanation. They're picking up money from all over the world. From Saudi Arabia to build solar panels, from the US now to help facilitate the problems we are having with the Mexican providers, and from many other sources. You know, a lot of money is being spent, a lot of money is being provided. The government is providing some of their own money, but at the end of the day, the money disappears and the projects are incomplete, and we, the Belizean people, suffer with regular outages. It ought not to be happening because we are getting more money than we need. And the private people are willing to invest their money to supply us with the electricity. But if we allow that to happen, it means that they're going to dictate the price of electricity to us as well. And when they start to dictate that and have the control of it, dog won't eat, we suffer more than what is happening right now. Because under international treaty obligations for business transacting across different borders, these companies will have to be protected, their investment will have to be protected, their profits that they have to give to their foreign investors will have to be protected. To hell with the Belizean people, but then I'll leave that back to right now. Back to you, Mr. Chairman. Are you back, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Brackett, Mr. Wade. I go to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, well said there, Leonard. It's so sad to, to see at the end of the day who punish, right? What is the role of a government that you elect? What is their role? Their role is not to make education affordable.
Yes.
Their role is not to make sure that the ways and byways and streets and roads are well maintained.
That's the purpose
Their
of
role
the
is
government.
not to make teachers feel safe and welcome and give them the necessities they need to carry out their jobs, right, in terms of educating our children. But that little clip that you played there, Greg, dear to my heart, because that village Motomaro, I know that village very good. From the 90s, have a lot of friends there. I have family members there, right? And it's so sad to see that when the time of election, how they traverse those Morawata street, right? And with their roads and visit these dilapidated schools, right? And see, oh yes, and things will be better. And after they get what they want, they're
You won't
gone,
see them again.
right? That's been going on, Mr. Chairman and Leonard, from I know it for sure from 1995. See from how long that scenario that you played, and that's just one school, right? And you could see where the system plays politics in some villages that just pop up. I said just pop up. You know how long more tomorrow is in existence, my people, our nation and the world, Belizean at home and abroad. You know how long more tomorrow is in existence? Do you know all these little pop-up villages that down south and most in Kayo South, right? Kayo Northeast, right? And I could go on. Do you know that a lot of these pop-up I call them pop up, right? Because here you have amount of immigrants come in the country, they get naturalized and they open a little village and the government welcome them and with the taxpayers money and they build them good schools, provide them with everything that they needs. Pop-up villages, you know. So it's to show you how they operate and how they use politics, past and present, right? Is that fair? These villages that don't want to supply with the necessities, they are taxpayers too, you know. They are taxpayers and they are voters and they are Belizean, born Belizean. They didn't came here and get naturalized. No, they're born here. Huh? Why? And that man, Mr. Chairman, that man, I'll call him out.
They don't fit the new identity, sir.
I'll call him out, right? Because when I had contested an election back in the 90s, I came out my pocket, and helped some of our public schools in these villages. I did that, right? So, Mr. Julius Espat, area representative of Kaya South, you need to check yourself, Mr. Man, okay, and do right by all your villages in your constituency. Don't show favoritism to some, 2, 3, 4, for whatever reason. You need to stop that. And Mr. Minister Fonseca of Education, do the right thing with the taxpayers and all the taxpayers' money and all the donations you have gotten in the name of the Education Department. You are failing. Okay, Mr. Man? Shame on you. And my heart goes out to these villages and the kids and the residents of these villages. Okay?
Mr. Wade, if I may.
Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Recently, the government has pushed the Equal Opportunity Bill, or is pushing it, and the Anti-Discrimination Bill. Now, imagine a government pushing these bills. Shouldn't we call these discrimination against school children? That is gross discrimination. It goes beyond discrimination. Because you are out here talking about education and you don't have no teachers for the school to teach education. And you know what will happen? You will build a tertiary hospital and you will not have anyone to work within there. And I know what I'm saying. So you are putting the horse in front of the slave. And it will keep happening. It's a policy of the government that helps them to go abroad with their hand open and get these grants and money, in the name of doing these things for the people, only to find at the end of the day, it takes years before these things can come to play. We can recall back the money for the solar panels from Saudi Arabia. We can go back to other monies that have not started to do anything yet. And even when they're speaking about it's a grant, when you get a grant, why do you have to have oversight? You are saying there's no secret agreement. But these people are bringing in their own people to monitor it. So that is just like a secret agreement.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Brackett,
I would like to just give me a little minute there, Mr. Chairman,
go
please.
ahead, sir.
Through this medium, I call on my government of the United States and all the agencies that donate to this country, please start demanding some accountability from these jackals. If to give them 150 million, please demand some accountability how you are spending the taxpayers' money, the US taxpayers' money. Show us that thing in the name of grant and no account need to stop. Demand some accountability from these jackals that you are giving money, taxpayers' money, right? Let them show you what they do with this money, how they spend it, right? Who gets it, when, where, and at, and how much. Please, that need to stop. I'm calling on my government, the U.S. government.
Mr. Wade, Mr. Chairman, may I add a comment to Mr. Wade's comment, sir?
Go ahead, sir.
What you're stipulating, Mr. Wade, is exactly how it is designed to be. The U.S. government have to keep track of the monies that it disperses unless it is a matter of national security interest coming under the purview of the president in terms of a secrecy act, that he can spend money then that he don't have to give account of. But under the normal way of doing business in the United States, all this money that is given under, by these different programs must be accounted for. And there must be some kind of a trail in terms of paperwork and the outcomes. But what happens is that also there's a little thing going on under the cover that from my vantage point I would call subordination. Okay? Which in fact is, we will give you this money, you will give us whatever information we ask you for, and hopefully it is good information, and we will just proceed to accept it as being good enough. In other words, you could bamboozle we, and it's no big deal because we did get you to do what we want you to do in the first place, such as violate your constitution to accept Guatemalans in large numbers into free country, which the constitution says should not happen. And when you go under the agreements that they're signing for the migration of people from other countries into our country, we get money to help support those people. But some of them are the very same people that are hostile to us and our country. And they get preference far and below, as I said earlier, than the regular Belizean. They get lands, they get financing, they get all manner of facilitation by even our own government for services and help that they don't provide to our very own local Belizean. Why? They want to carry favor with these foreign entities. So they violate our laws. And they're paid to do so. What do you call that? A bunch of mobsters under the guise of a duly elected government that's not working on behalf of the people of the country, but actually being subordinated by what the agents and agencies that they're working along with demand that they comply with. That is to say, to hell with your constitution. Do what we want you to do, and we'll make sure that when that money comes, we are going to supervise and make sure that we're looking over your shoulder, and you'll do as we say. Spend the money to service the people that we want you to take into your country. to help the local Belizeans. No money is coming in for them. The money that is being spent on new people coming in, the new identity, which is being fostered on us. And we have a lot of Belizean people born and bred in Belize, make no forward progress in Belize, and sit by sucking their finger while other people are coming in and taking over our patrimony without firing a bullet. So there's no need under the modern Webster proposal implementation, by the way, there's no need for Guatemala to continue having in their constitution the part of the law that says they will get Belize by reason or by force. Because there's no need for them to implement force, to fire a bullet, or to come across and be harassing more people as they currently do. They are now engaged in a process where enough of their people will be Trojan horses in our country, and pretty soon they'll be outvoting our local population, as you had quite rightly said, Mr. Wade, in one past election where you was told pretty soon they don't need the local Belizeans anymore because they have enough of these people in place. But I'll deal for right now because that's a long story. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just give me a second, please. I just want the Belizean people, both at home and abroad, to understand that all the grants, the aid, the money that comes in the name of the Belizean people for poverty, education, and electrification to help 20%, maybe I'm inflating, goes to that cause. Past and present, the other monies goes in the pockets of the politician, their friends and cronies, with no accountability, none whatsoever. Right? That is what I want to put out there, and it's easy to understand because you're not seeing it. Nothing is there that, see here, this is what the past 60 million and the other millions for poverty, and see what he did. I mean, see what the money did. Look where we have poverty. Today is 2024. And not too long ago, the amount of money. Where is this money? Who gets it? That's my thing. Right? And no accountability, and they keep getting money all the time. In the name of not PUP, not UDP, not Briseño, not the past jackals, in the name of the Belizean people. Okay?
1.375 billion with a B Belizean dollars.
So sad.
Which is not even part of our official budget.
And yet you hear the fanatics.
Official budget.
My government is working. The best is yet to come. My government. Golly, man. What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? This is what drives me nuts. See? Open your eyes, my people. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wade, let me give you an example. Thank you. When the Prime Minister was asked by the news lady about the Brad Godido and the amount of money they say they are making, where will it go? He said some will go in NHI and some would go somewhere else, but he keep pressing him. You know what he finally said? Oh, you don't have to worry about that because it will be added. I want to ask the question, when last was the news added?
See what I'm talking about?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, sir.
the president, well, I shouldn't call her the president because she's already due to demit, if not having demitted already. But the Auditor General that we had not too long ago, that was proposing to leave her post. That Auditor General hadn't had the privilege to audit the books substantively the way it's intended and should be audited. She's leaving office with the original objective of bringing up to date all the audits of the government departments. She has not been provided with the information necessary to meet that requirement. But yes, she's demitting office. Why? Maybe one day she might tell us.
Mr.
I hope
Brackett,
so.
let me answer that for you, sir. You cannot have that when we do not have separation of powers. That is why all these things keep on happening.
Right
It
on the
is
nail
one
head, sir.
about the Attorney General is supposed to monitor the finance of this country. She's the one who is supposed to look after corruption and fraud. So when the Prime Minister used his name for the money that was used to buy the land, that they claimed they would put the hospital, and the Attorney General said it was okay, I want to remind him that there's a law called enterprise, and he can be a part of that, because that is misuse of public funds that is unconstitutional. Period.
I don't think some of these guys really understand what the meaning of that term, International Criminal Court, which is different from the ICJ. They need to do some research, need to figure out something, and understand why some leaders of other countries end up in prison. Because they feel that because they got the power of the country under their control, that they're immune from prosecution themselves. They need to learn what they don't know. Nobody born knowing what they need to learn, and these jackals need to learn either the easy way or the hard way. Because as it is right now, they're operating as a mafioso gang under the category of a legitimately elected group of people to form a government. But they're not governing as if they were legitimately elected. They are governing as if they can use the power of governance to their own heart content and with no checks and balance. And they fail to understand that some of them could end up at the Hague. I told them so before, I'm telling them no again, and I may have to tell them another few times, probably when they're all in shackles. Because these guys think that they're above local laws, national laws, and international laws. And that is not the case anymore in modern society. I'll leave it there for right now, Mr. Sharon. I would say that was probably my last comment for the night. I'll turn it back over to you for...
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. I also wanted to bring up, as quickly as I can, the incident with the young man in Belmopan, who the police minister is saying had a seizure. The same young man who passed away just shortly after he was released out of custody, that he didn't die in custody. But I want to say this, right, to the people at home and abroad. You cannot believe nothing that these people say. Why don't we show the videotape? Why don't we show the videotape? Let's hear what he has to say.
On Monday morning, after his detention on Friday, he had fallen ill within the cell. I believe it is around 3 in the morning. He was taken to the Western Regional Hospital, where he was treated, and thereafter the medical practitioners released him back into the custody of police. However, because Tuesday was a holiday, they were unable to charge him then. On Wednesday, I believe he had another instance. From the information that I'm receiving, it was seizures that he was suffering from. And so he was again taken back to the hospital, on Wednesday, and I believe he passed away on Thursday. Because it was a case of not in custody death, but shortly after being in custody, we have asked the NFSS to expedite the post-mortem. I have been assured that that will be done on Monday. I have also reached out to the Ministry of Health personnel to contact
people at home and abroad.
Mr. Chairman, please, let me explain my own conscience as regards to that particular incident. These guys are trying to do a whitewash. You cannot tell me that they arrested that young man and he had a seizure and he died from that seizure that happened after they had taken him to hospital. And all the bruises that are apparent on the gentleman's body was something that resulted from him having put in the medical, put in the police compound, that those bruises just automatically maybe start surfacing from him because he maybe had some leprosy or some other kind of malignancy that end up causing him those bruises. Those bruises are the result of malfeasance under authority of police, okay? So they all get together and concoct these bastardized stories that they're telling the public to try and divert the public's attention from the fact that the man died in custody after being choked out and beaten up. The man never just dropped dead because they carried a station and he had a heart failure or he had some kind of a special conditions before they took him to court. Not to court, to the cell. The man was probably in the cell there railing up and cursing up because of his right being violated. And these idiots, because they are immune according to them from persecution, decided to put some pressure upon a young man, make you shut up and stop the malign them or tell them about themselves and their wrongdoing. And once they start beating a young man, or a young man will fight to try to survive the beat down where he get, then put on more beat down, and the same thing end up happening with that young man in jail, as what happened to the black young man in the US, where all the police officers then get together and sit on the man and squeeze out the life out of the man. Okay?
This incident, Mr. Brackett.
The evidence is there, but they don't put that on the record as part of the man post-mortem. Then they try to come up with the idea that the man post-mortem one year one decision that the man died of asphyxia or some other condition that the man had before being arrested.
Mr. Brackett, let me help you here. People at home and abroad.
Fools and they deal with all the time.
Here in Belizean affairs, we always show and tell the truth. If I was to listen to what the Minister of Police is saying, they are telling on themselves, and I will tell you why. He is proudly stating to the Belizean people that the government of Belize is not ready for a tertiary level hospital because they will not have the qualified individuals in there. And I will tell you why. Miss Jenny Lovo, who also got sick and went to the hospital, and they look at her, they sent her home, similar case, where she had a breathing problem, and they sent her home and she fell down and passed away. Here we have this young man now. The police minister is saying he had seizures. I take you to the hospital. What hospital would send a young man out who has seizures and a big cut wound on his head with stitches? That is showing the world
to be put into jail.
They are not equipped and not ready to deal with these types of incidents. Mr. Wade, I go to you for the closing, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Leonard and Gregory, Belizean, both at home and abroad. Is this the first venom that comes out of the Musa, the police minister, mouth? No. Is this the first time that they try to cover up,
No,
paint their own scenario?
no.
Put it out there, their scenario. We could go about 1,000 cases where they cover up. Some go to court. The last one was the Inspector Martinez who get some jail time here. They tried to cover up the actions, what you see. So, you know, my people, you see these guys, they don't want to look bad, and they don't want to, for people to see them in a different light. So they always will try these shenanigans, right? So long story short, guys, right? I call on the family of that young man, this latest incident, to get an independent post-mortem, right? Because they will try, Leonard and Gregory, they will try
They
to.
always do.
Yes, they
They
always
always do.
do. They will try to get to the mortician, to the doctor who will perform the autopsy, right? They will try to get to that individual, like they always do, so
And they
that they
try,
could get
and
what
Mr.
they
Wade,
want,
Mr. Wade,
right?
tactically, Mr. Wade, they also try to get judges that will rule to have them continue
Yes,
violating our constitution and
yes.
pretend that it's no big deal, as the last judge did. I
So,
yield back, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
But we won't be silent.
my thing right now is to instill on the family members of that young man, because it's all wrong what they did to him, and they are trying to cover it up. But if you don't get an independent
Karma.
opinion,
Karma.
you will be bamboozled, right? And the death of your loved one will go just like that. It will go in the
Like a
name of
breeze.
he suffer a seizure, right? That's the scenario they are painting. You want to tell me, I saw a video that young man tie up himself from that ceiling up here by foot. And for some reason, miraculous reason, he cut the rope and he fall up on his head and bust the head. That's the only way that young man will get that bust head there like that, right? Didn't happen that way. They beat the hell out of that young man
Exactly as I said.
as a former policeman, right? And they are trying to. I'm not saying that that's something I had never done wrong to no one. So I could walk the length and breadth of this country because I have done wrong to no one. But the policing that happens in this country now, right, so different from the policing I know, right? See all the cover-ups, they will try to cover up the beating that young man get in their custody, okay? All the
Thank you.
way, Mr. Chairman, all the way to the court. They will try to defend that.
Thank you,
Back to
Mr.
you,
Wade. With that
Mr.
said,
Chairman.
let me close with this. My good friend,
Police have their duty. Brother, there's a man in his boxers dying in a cell.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yes.
When are you going to hold people accountable?
Yeah.
There have been 5 police officers charged for criminal offenses, from handling stolen goods to randomly shooting at a guy. In the past 2 weeks, we've seen, I believe, 6 police officers charged. And I understand that in the trial charge, I understand, but there's something so rotten in this culture, A parent with a special needs child, said, she told me recently that, they were stopped at a checkpoint and the police demanded that they get out of the vehicle. These are completely law-abiding people. And, the special needs kids who is grown, but he didn't want to get out, you understand.
people
Before
at
you go,
home and
Mr. Chairman,
abroad.
I would like to say this. I would like to see all those that was on duty on that moment, that time, be placed on some kind of disciplinary action and removed from working right now until that matter is fully investigated and concluded.
A legal observation, they should be put on disciplinary action, but that they should be put on remand as well.
Exactly.
Without pay.
Exactly.
No payment while their cases is being heard. They need to start suffer consequences, and they need to talk with each other, about each other, and complain to each other about what is it that the bad eggs that they do that's causing problems to the good police officers, because we have very good police officers, but they themselves are intimidated by the conduct of these bad eggs that the supervisors and the people up top allow to get away with impunity. Okay?
And what happened to the hourly check on your prisoners? Hourly check. Half an hour, every half an hour you check on your prisoners. What happened to that?
Procedures that they're supposed to follow to avoid these things from happening. But anyhow,
with that said, gentlemen,
we're at that time, Mr. Chairman.
good night to the people at home and abroad, and thank you for tuning in to this 195th episode of Belizean. Yeah. Have a wonderful night.